Stress. Stress can like make your life suck. You know, you can have everything great in your life, but if you can't handle stress, your life is, well, whatever's stressing you out owns you, or whoever's stressing you out owns you. So understand that like stress is, and managing stress is like a key to being happy and healthy. See, stress is the ability of something to strip away your joy because it's overpowering you. Okay? Stress, like a situation that's stressing you out, is because you don't have control of that situation, basically. Or you have too much to do in too short of amount of time. Okay? But either way, you are stressed out because there's something about it you either don't want to do it, it doesn't match your sole purpose, or it's just the people that you're dealing with. And sometimes like stress has like, and that's just how stress works. And some people, their entire life purpose is to make you stressed out. That's what they enjoy. They live off sucking the joy out of you. So I understand that, yeah, it may seem like, well, they seem like they want me stressed out. They do. Like some people, that's what they feed off of. They literally feed off of your stress energy and misery. You know, that's what some people actually feed off of. So, understand that if it seems like some people want you stressed out, because they do. And let's look at what you can control. And like, if you're around people like that, you just got to knock those out. You've got to just get away from those people. You've got to find another job, find something, but get away from the people that are stressing you out, number one. Because I'm telling you, like, if you aren't able to handle stress, it just, and like, if you have people intentionally stressing you out, yeah, and they do. So, accept that fact that if it seems like people are intentionally trying to do it, yeah, because they are. So anyway, each day you've got to like learn how to like realize that those people like that, you just got to knock them out of your life. Okay? You just have to eliminate them from your life. Find a new job. If it's family doing it, get away from your family. You have to sometimes remove the source of stress, or you have to remove yourself from the source of stress. You know, and stress is one of those things that each day you just have to learn to deal with it better than you did the day before. And I've learned through the years how to deal with stress, and like I'm one of those that I don't like show stress a whole lot, but I've had a lot of stress. Still have lots of it, but the thing is I've learned how to deal with it. And it's like this: the big key to it is turning it over to God. Okay, like if I have situations that honestly I can't really, you know, I don't have control over, I just turn those situations over to God. See, generally stress is when we are stressed out when we have a lack of control over a situation. And when we have a lack of control over a situation, we're just sitting there saying that, you know, it's because we can't like just make it the way we want it. We either have to have something that we have to fulfill that we don't want to fulfill, or we're doing something that we just don't absolutely want to do. And sometimes it's like this: your soul tells you what you want to do and what you don't want to do. And just because you think you have to do something does not mean you have to do it. You can always find a new source of employment if that's stressing you out. And people in your life, you don't technically have to be around them, or if you are around them, you make sure that their stress isn't what they make sure they're not rubbing off on you and stressing you out. Okay? That's the big key to it. It's about, even if you're around people who stress you out, you have to sit there and say, hey, I'm not going to let you stress me out. That's where boundaries come in. See, boundaries are, the fence I put up between me and you. Okay? It's the fence that protects me from you. Where I say, here's a line, don't cross it. You cross the line, you're out of my life. Or there will be certain, or we're going to draw an even harsher boundary until you learn to respect the said boundary. You know, there are certain people in your life that you probably can't like eliminate from your life. Okay? But those people, you set boundaries with them, and if they cross those boundaries, you just let them know, hey, I'm not going to tolerate the amount of disrespect that you're showing me. Okay? And that's what it amounts to, like, if people don't respect your boundaries. And, like, eliminating stress in your life is partially about constructing proper boundaries. And, you know, whenever you set a boundary with somebody, you have to strictly adhere to said boundary. Okay? So, you know, whenever you whenever you build that fence between you and your neighbor or whoever, you know, build between, and you have to set it with family, you have to set it with friends, you have to set it with everybody. You know, if you don't, people will try to keep on and keep on and keep on. See, most people are takers in life, and you're going to find this out. They are not givers, they're takers. And they will take and take and take until you are completely give out. And guess what? Another source of stress. So, you know, it's all about knowing when to say when. It's all about knowing when to say, hey, I set a boundary with you. Let's adhere to it. So, you know, other people, that's the thing about stress. They contribute to your stress. And, you know, the thing is, it's about how you react to them. And just because people act like you need to react to them does not mean you have to react, period. You are under no circumstances required to react just because someone thinks that you should react. Okay? So understand that, you know, if someone asks you a question, you don't have to give them an answer. Okay? You can tell them to off and whatever. You can tell them where to go and how to get there. But you're not required to give them an answer. Okay? And that's basically every situation. You know, you don't have to give them an answer. And, you know, people try to bully you into it and act like you owe them an answer. You don't. You don't owe anyone shit. Okay? You know, and that's the thing you got to understand. And that's like we're setting, you know, stress is one of those things that whenever you want to manage your stress, you have to decide, I'm managing this stress. I'm taking control of what I can. And whatever I can't, I'm turning over to God. And whatever God shows me to do in these situations is what I'm going to do. It's like certain people in your life, they may stretch you out, but God says, hey, I need you to handle this situation for me because you're the only one who can. So you do this. Or if God has you in certain jobs because he's like, look, I need you to do this, or I need you to be in this environment because you're able to do this. You know, but understand, tell God about it, and God will help you manage the stress. Really. God will assist you managing the stress of life. You know, and understand that, like, whenever you manage the stress in life, life gets better. And whenever you turn things over to God and say, God, I can't, but you can. That's when you're saying you trust God and you're giving God a little bit of a trust fall. You're just like, hey, I throw my hands up. Here we go. So see, God wants you to show him that you trust him. And that's showing God that you trust him. When you're saying, God, this situation's bigger than I am. This situation's making my life unmanageable. Hey, will you take care of it? And you know, the bigger person is the one who turns things over to God. You know, it's not the person that thinks that they can control every aspect of their life, because trust me, you will find out you don't control every aspect of it at some point. You may think you do, and you may have been under a faux assumption for a while that you do. But guess what? You control parts of your life, but not all of your life. Okay? And like those people who influence you or who are bringing that stress into your life, you have to learn how to manage those people. And like, you know, and here's another thing, like if you're the one bringing stress to people, God's going to point that out too. You know, whenever you bring to God that, hey, I want the stress removed from your life, God's going to show you in your life where you're stressing others out. And God wants you to deal with that. Because, see, it's whenever you do one, you have to do the other. So, see, that's where you start looking at in life and knowing that, hey, stress and management. See, managing things is not just knowing how to, like, do a certain job or how to, be the best at something. It's about knowing how to manage other people and knowing how to manage yourself. And God will teach you how to manage yourself. And once you learn to manage yourself, believe it or not, things kind of learn to, like, your life will kind of start managing itself. God will kind of, like, things will just start flowing. And, like, I've had some things happen the last few days and I needed a rest. Like, I was stressed totally out. I mean, like, totally stressed out. And whenever I get totally stressed out, my life is not very fun. I don't enjoy life whenever I'm stressed out. And the people around me don't enjoy life when I'm stressed out. You know, it's a matter of, and I try not to let my stress rub off on other people. But the thing is, no matter how hard you try, it does. Okay? And like me, I can be a dick some days. Whenever, and I mean, have total. I mean, I'm just not saying a little. I mean, I'm saying I'm grade A. But here's the thing. I try to learn each day to manage my stress better so I'm not as bad. And each day I try to be better than I was the day before. You know? And it's like each day I try to look back on the day and realize, hey, what could I have done better today? Or what did I do better today than I did yesterday? Always look each day. It'll stress you out if you only look at what you're doing wrong in life. That's why you have to reduce your stress by looking at what you're doing right in life. Whenever you look at what you're doing right in life, you're kind of giving you a little boost there, and it kind of takes away, offsets some of your stress because you're like, hey, I'm doing this right, but I may be not reacting properly to something here because of stress. And it kind of offsets itself like that because you kind of got to, like, boost yourself back up some days. And God will show you what you're doing good as well as what you're doing bad, where it's not really it's not harsh on you. See, it's not really what you tell yourself or what you tell anybody else, it's how you tell them. It's about using a nuanced approach. It's about doing things in a manner that are easier on our souls to digest. You know, Two people can deliver the same news, and one person can have people, up in arms about something, and the other one can be sitting there and, people thinking the world's going down. The other one can deliver the same news and have them think, wow, that's such a great, I'm glad that happened. See, it's all about how you deliver it. It's not what you say, it's about how you say it. And talking to yourself is the same way. If you talk to yourself and if you tell yourself things in a manner, that's why you got to learn how to talk to yourself. See, if you don't talk to yourself in the right manner, you will stress yourself out. Not part of the time, every time you will stress yourself out. So, see, you got to learn how to talk to yourself too. And once you learn how to talk to yourself, then you'll learn how to talk to others because, hey, it's like usually whatever you learn how to talk to you in the proper way, it usually will work with others too. Okay? We're not all that different. We're more the same than we are different. Everybody wants to exploit differences now because, see, if you incite people, then they're like backing up your cause. Oh, I've incited you. If you get people incited, see, you stress them out. That's what it's about. See, and don't stress people out. And, like, I don't like people that are stressing others out because that stresses me out. And, and I don't like to stress people out because I don't like to be stressed out. So, see, it's all about not what you say, but how you say it. And learning to, hey, relinquish control. Because once you learn to relinquish control to God and say, God, I can't, but you can. That's how you reduce stress. That's how life can get better. You learn how to do things in a different manner. And whenever I learn to do things different, my life begins to change. Okay? Your life begins to change. See, whenever one person changes and then helps someone else change, all of our lives start getting better. See, if I help you change a little, see, then the people and you change a little bit, then the people that's in your area, in your auric field, basically, in your planetary system there, they start changing as well. See, it spreads. Happiness spreads, stress spreads, anger spreads. It's like this, and like that's why I say it starts with each one of us to fix ourselves first. And if we don't fix ourselves, our life does not change. But once we change, the people around us begin to change too. So, understand that like stress is one of those deals that like whenever you're stressed, others are stressed because see, your bad mood rubs off on others. That's why we go, hey, let's change this and deal with our stress. And the easiest way I can tell you is like talk to God about it. Let God point out things and be like, if your job's stressing you out, God, find me something that I will like and is fulfilling and helps me to serve my purpose for you. That's about all I can come up with. But each day, hey, try to do a little better than the day before. Try to love yourself a little bit. See, part of dealing with stress, whenever you deal with stress, then you can love yourself a little more. You're giving yourself permission to love yourself some more. Anyway, I'm Josh. I love you. God loves you. Peace.